Hello everybody and welcome to your 9th lesson from the first topic of an Introduction to Media Studies, and this lesson is all about advertising. For your first task, I want you to think about why adverts want to portray their products or service in a positive light. Not only how they do it, but why they do it.
Hi, it's Fitz with Slap Chop. You're gonna be in a great mood all day because you're gonna be slapping your troubles away with the Slap Chop. Now look, here's a potato. One slap, you got big chunks for stews. Two slaps, home fries in a second. And look at this, when you add a mushroom, the more you do it, the finer it gets. You don't have to switch any blades. Now, you love salad, you hate making it. You know you hate making salads, that's why you don't have any salad in your diet. Watch this, one slap, salad. I love pizza too, but once in a while, get the veggies in. At least throw it on top of the pizza. You're gonna change your eating habits. Soup, coleslaw, stuff, you want 5 seconds? 4 or 5 seconds, it's done. This tuna looks boring. Stop having a boring tuna. Stop having a boring life. Add this tuna, put it here like this. Now you're gonna have a nice tuna salad. Look at this. You're gonna have an exciting life now. Look, here's a hard-boiled egg. One chop, you add the pickle, you add the green onion. And what you can do, you can mix things together. You add the ham, and you're gonna love this. You don't have time to make breakfast. Breakfast to go. You're gonna love my nuts. Watch this. Almonds, walnuts, comes with a cover. So you can do everything in the cover, all right? Or you can do it on the board, whatever you'd like. So easy, one finger. If I can do it with one finger, you guys can do it with your whole hand. Kids can do it. You know what they charge at the ice cream stores? $1 for toppings at the ice cream stores. Add a couple cookies if you want. So you can make it for 10 cents. Stop throwing your money away. You know, not only nuts, what about fruit? Put a mango. Look at that, isn't that beautiful on your ice cream? The reason you're gonna slap away every day is because it's so easy to clean. 1, 2, and pops open like that, like a butterfly to clean. Now these other ones that you've seen in the stores, bacteria gets in the food, all the stores have this. You can't clean it, you can't open this up. It's worthless, forget about it. Now take the Slap Chop, put it back together, and you get the garlic. All right, here's the garlic with the skin. There you go, these skins the garlic. You're gonna eat more garlic. The onions with the skin. All right, this is making you cry, making me cry. All right, life's hard enough as it is. You don't wanna cry anymore. Put the Slap Chop right there, the skin's at the bottom. Hey look, so you want a little bit of onions, you don't want to drag out the food processor, the skin comes right off. You see that? All right, now put a tomato in there, add your cilantro, your hot peppers right there, you hit it like this. Guys, we're gonna make America skinny again, one slap at a time.
It's very quick. It's a time saver for recipes.
Just take it apart, washes, put it in the drawer, good to go.
It's easy, you just got one hand and chop.
Now here's the deal, when you buy the Slap Chop, we're gonna give you the grady for cheese. White cheese, yellow cheese, in the container. Comes with a twister. And watch this, tacos, fettuccine, linguine, martini, bikini. Look at that, comes with 2 blades, just bang it. The cheese comes right out, fine and coarse. Parmesan, comes with a cover, stays sealed. Put it in the fridge, take it out when you need it, pass it around the table, you're gonna love this thing. The Slap Chop sells for $29.95, but if you call now, within the next 20 minutes, because you know we can't do this all day, you're gonna get the grady absolutely free. So that's 2 for $29.95. The Slap Chop with the grady. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-574-8366. Call now and you'll get the grady absolutely free with the Slap Chop. When you call, also ask about our foldable cutting board. That's 1-800-574-8366. 1-800-574-8366. Call now.
The role or job of an advert is to obviously persuade the audience to purchase the product or service. Now, this can be to simply make them aware that the product or service exists, but more importantly, it needs to actively try and persuade the audience to act on what they've just seen. In this example, there are pre-cut vegetables which allow the product to be used successfully. He also uses multiple different products without having to clean them between each use. Furthermore, the use of linguistic coding, so that's the words used, consistently connotes how the product can make you a happier person and give you a better life. High key lighting and a variety of camera angles and techniques have been used to help promote an optimistic and jovial atmosphere. Non-diegetic sound effects also give the sense of pace and action. There's interviews with real people, and these help to repeat and reinforce this positive message. The speed and pace make this a repeated and bombarded message of happiness and joy and positivity. Here we have our title slide for this lesson, and again we're looking at advertising. So you can see in the bottom left, as always, our topic number and lesson number. This is still topic number 1, an introduction to the media, and it's our 9th lesson. So the objective today is to explore a range of advertisements and learn about their purpose, construction, and distribution. We have 3 success criteria here. Basic is to explore the conventions of advertisements. Moderate would be to consider the impact and effectiveness of advertising, and hopefully you're all going to get to the advanced success criteria to discuss the idea of media influence and effect. Do you know what the difference is between advertising and marketing? Well, advertising is the promotion of a specific product. So this might be a print, broadcast, or e-media product which attempts to persuade the audience to purchase a particular product or service. Try not to get confused when we say a media product and a consumable product, something that's being advertised. Marketing, however, is the entire range of promotional techniques used to promote a product or service. So advertising is one tool in the marketing toolkit, but there are many other things you can do to market a product. For example, here on the right, we have an example of product placement. This is just one form of advertising, which might feature as part of the campaign for a certain product or brand. If we examine the marketing techniques of a company such as Red Bull, you can see that there's actually a range of marketing techniques that they use to advertise their products. There are a range of strategies which advertisements employ in the effort to try and persuade audiences to buy their products and services. So how do adverts work? Well, the main trick of at least print adverts is that they are image-based. So there are some words, but mostly we see a picture. Now, why might this be? The idea of advertising is that audiences don't actually look at them for very long, especially print adverts. They need to work instantly. Images can say a lot more than words. Adverts are not always actually advertising a specific product. Take this BMW advert, for example. This advert you would find in a magazine or on a billboard or on a bus stop. Now, this isn't an advert actually for a BMW i8, even though it does look like one. This is an advert for BMW. Most people who buy a BMW car are not going to be able to afford an i8. They're actually going to be looking at a second-hand BMW or a cheaper model. Now, what this advert is doing is saying BMW is cool. BMW makes cars like this. So when you think about buying your next car, you'll think about BMW as a brand. So they're trying to create brand recognition. And this is where the audience will start to see the brand name everywhere, making it a household name, but making it something that they think is cool, something that they want to be a part of. It's really important that advertisements actually show their product or service. And the best way to do this is to have the target audience represented by a character. The quality of an advert must be very high, whether it's print, broadcast, or e-media. The imagery used, the size, the style, the computer-generated imagery, whatever it might be, the quality has to be incredibly high. It's also really important that advertisements use the same colour scheme or continue their branding. Here we can see an advert for Virgin Media and we know that they're red. If I was to ask you to name a supermarket brand that was blue or orange or green, I think you'd be able to do that. And that's to do with branding, just like with the BMW advert, but maintaining a colour scheme or a house style is really important with advertising to maintain the same message over and over again. Most adverts do include some kind of information about the product or service. Here we have an advert for BT and you can see the amount of data, the number of calls and how long the contract will last for. We also have something here called a call to action. After your advert has actually done the job of persuading the audience to purchase the product or service, then you need to tell them what they can do about it. Whether that's to say it's available in all good bookshops, it can be found in the cereal aisle in a supermarket, or phone this number, visit this website. As we said at the beginning of the lesson, positivity is a hugely important element of any advert. If you can't make your product or service look good and useful, then it's really not going to do a good job of persuading anyone to actually buy into it. One advertising technique is the use of nostalgia. Nostalgia is a fondness of the past, or looking back at the past through almost rose-tinted glasses. What these adverts here have done, this is Money Supermarket, Spotify and Halifax. If you look at the Money Supermarket and Halifax adverts, they have used a reference to another media product. He-Man for Money Supermarket and the Flintstones for Halifax. The idea here is the audience will have warm fuzzy memories of being a child and watching these programs, and these adverts are trying to almost steal or take the meaning from those other media products and take that feeling and embed it into their own product and their own services. You've also got the idea here of nostalgia on the Spotify advert, comparing what things were like in the 90s to a more modern design of fashion. Now again, this is to try and pull on the heartstrings of the audience and try and make them feel positive about their products. Now it's time for you to see if you can discuss this advert and reference some of the things we've been talking about. So here we have an advert for a Patek Philippe watch. What makes this an effective and successful advert? So you're going to have about 10 minutes for this, and you need to consider some of these bullet pointed questions. Would this appeal to the target audience? Now we've put here that the target audience is women. Now you can be more specific. You can say wealthy women, you could say mothers, but really you want to try and find out, would it appeal to those target audiences? How might it make them feel? What might it make them think? And can you see any examples of the things we've discussed in this lesson, such as brand name, the product, any information, a call to action, and so on? How has imagery, font, wording, the quality and size been used to create an effective and successful advert? This advert presents the conventions expected for a print advert, specifically those aimed at a higher end audience or with more disposable income. The image in the Patek advert carries denotations of family and therefore connotes the importance of providing for one's children. This is an emotional trigger and is designed to make the target audience desire the loving bond between them and their child. The product is actually shown twice, once in situ, so on the arm of the woman, the female character we have here, and again as an overlay. This further increases the importance and prestige of the product, making it appear more valuable. The Patek advert focuses on nostalgia, childhood memories, alongside glamorous nights out where life's stresses and worries are forgotten. This is due to the specific target audience of married older women. So what we have here as well is two types of nostalgia. Imagine you are the target audience, you are the woman who this advert is aimed at. It's trying to get you to consider yourself in both of these characters' positions. You as a child, when your mother would look after you and spend time with you and engage with you and show pride and love and care of the woman you're becoming. But also, you as the mother, the love and feelings that you have for your children. So this is almost a double whammy of nostalgia. Advertising is all about eyes on the page. What that means is the more people that see your advert, the more effective it should be. More specifically, the more specific type of people that see your advert, the better. There's no point in getting 100 million men to see an advert that's aimed at women, or 100 million children to see an advert that's aimed at adults. So where can you put print adverts where A, lots of people will see them, but B, specifically where you can target the audience that you want to target? Well, any outside space in public is good for an advert, whether that's a billboard, the side of a house, the side of a road. They even put them on vans and things in the side of farmers' fields down the motorways. But any print media product can also hold and contain print adverts, magazines, newspapers, for example. If you want to specifically target women with a product, then you're going to want to put that advert in a magazine that you know women read. Broadcast platforms are just as popular with advertisers. Not only can you get lots of people to see them because pretty much everybody watches television, but also you can target specific audiences by putting them on certain channels and between specific programs. E-media, or new media, is a more modern way of advertising and is actually taking the world by storm. In fact, e-media advertising is replacing and challenging the dominance of print and broadcast. Not only can you put e-media adverts on any online platform, whether that's social networks, YouTube, computer games, websites, or any online platform, but you can also specifically target different people. What I mean by that is if you're looking at a Facebook page and I'm looking at the same Facebook page, we can actually be given different adverts. Using technical information such as cookies and tracking data, advertisers can make sure specific adverts come up on different people's screens. Now this is a fantastic development for advertisers because they can actually make sure the only people that are seeing their adverts are the people they want to, and therefore maximizing their the value of these adverts. They're not spending any money putting it in front of people that aren't their target audience. So over to you. Which do you think is the most effective way of advertising? Do you think it's print, broadcast, or e-media? Now obviously there are advantages and disadvantages for each. Can you list or create a chart like this which explores the advantages and disadvantages of advertising over the three different formats of media? Now that we've discussed how advertising might work and some of the techniques used by advertisers, I want you to consider whether or not you think advertising actually works. Have you ever changed your shopping habits or your values or your beliefs based on an advert? Well, according to Clutch.co, 90% of consumers say they are influenced by advertisements. We now need to explore some media theory to explain and explore how advertisements might influence and affect the audience. Here we have Harold Lasswell, and he's known for communication science. Specifically, he coined the phrase hypodermic needle theory. Now, this theory is also referred to as magic bullet theory and has actually been around for quite a long time. In fact, the first ideas that explored this theory were in the 1920s and focused around propaganda from the First World War. Harold Lasswell termed the phrase hypodermic needle theory and tried to apply these ideas to the media at the time. His general thoughts are that audiences are affected by the media due to repetition and bombardment of the same messages. He therefore thinks that audiences are affected slowly over a long period of time, and the effect is quite subtle. So you can read more about this in the book Propaganda Technique in the World War. And don't forget that I have kind of condensed all of this into just these 2 sentences here. So do read around the subject and research Harold Lasswell and hypodermic needle theory in more depth for yourselves. Diving into a bit more detail, hypodermic needle theory, or HNT, is the idea that over time, through repetition, the media will result in those messages being injected into the minds of the audience and therefore affects the way that people think and behave. A hypodermic needle is a giant needle filled with medicine. It's what we use when we give people vaccinations. And here you can see a little graphic that tries to explain and explore a visual representation of this theory. So there are some bullet points here that we need to take note of. HNT assumes that all audiences are the same. It doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, the experience you've had. If you repeat a message enough and bombard people with it so it's literally everywhere they look, then eventually we will all take that message on board. Hypodermic needle theory predicts that all audiences will react the same way over time, and that it also relies on the idea that the audience is passive. Now, what this means is that we're not questioning or really overly processing the media we're taking in. We're just kind of absorbing it almost subconsciously and not stopping to apply what we see to a real world context. If hypodermic needle theory is correct, then audiences might imitate what they see or start acting and behaving in a way that they've seen repeated over time. Also, if hypodermic needle theory is correct, then we are all just helpless victims to the media that we consume. Applying the hypodermic needle theory to the analysis of advertisements, we might be able to explore the idea that adverts could be more influential and therefore affect people more than, say, other forms of media like films or computer games. Adverts, as we've discussed, present the most positive view, therefore people want to believe in them. Adverts are also very passively consumed. The idea that if we are passive when consuming the media, advertisements specifically must be consumed passively. I don't know anybody who says, I can't come out right now, I just want to watch these adverts. Often we kind of switch our brains off when the adverts come on, so they still filter in, but almost subconsciously. Also, advertisements are everywhere. They are literally on every public space, in every form of media. You can't escape them. Advertisements like to play off the needs and desires of audiences. They try to trigger us through things like nostalgia and love and empathy and success. And therefore, we want again to believe in the world of advertising. And also, don't forget that adverts are edited to look perfect. They're not real. They're versions of reality. And I think that can be very appealing to audiences. And therefore, we want to believe that it's possible. After all of our discussion, how valid do you find the claims made by the hypodermic needle theory? By that we mean, do you think it's correct? Do you think there's any merit to this theory? Or are there any areas where it fails to really make sense? You can do this however you like. It might be better to do a table like I've got here, where you can list your ideas of why it is correct and accurate, or why maybe it's not. Or you could do this as a written report. Take about 10 minutes to think of your ideas of why it is and isn't a good theory. Some of the ideas of why this theory is valid or accurate are that most people do seem to have the same values, beliefs and ideologies, especially in a particular location like a country. The media does repeat the same messages. Violence is acceptable, for example. It also helps to explain why advertising might work. There are some reasons, of course, why hypodermic needle theory may not be valid or may not be too accurate. It doesn't actually take into account different audiences, so different ages, genders and levels of intelligence. It doesn't account for different types of media either. E-media might be more or less influential. And also, we can't really measure the strength of effect. Violent media isn't making everybody go out and murder each other, for example. Hypodermic needle theory is considered to be relatively outdated by most media theorists. It can still be used to explore the effect of media on audiences, though. It's especially useful when exploring repeated messages, such as stereotyping, or issues within the media, such as violence or sexualization and censorship, and specifically when talking about advertisements. That brings us to our final learning check of the lesson, and as always, have a look at these 4 boxes and see if you can assess how you've done in this lesson. Can you summarize the lesson? Can you rate yourself out of 10 for these bullet points? Answer the key questions. And what would a good question be that would result in this answer? Call to action. Congratulations to making it through to the end of the lesson. Have another look at the title slide here and just see if you feel confident that you have covered the basic, moderate and advanced success criteria. As always, here we have the specific terminology that was used within this lesson. If you've managed to get through all of the content within this lesson, then here is an extension task for you. Create an advert for a new smartwatch. Now this could be just a rough idea of what you would do, all the way through to a fully finished product. And finally, as always, here we have some exam questions. Now this is how the content of this lesson may appear on some of your exams. And there we have it, the end of this lesson. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully I will catch you at the next one.